Hey guys, so I wanted to talk about this weapon that I found. It is the Fire Knight's Greatsword. Now, I found this because of a video made by Only Waifu. They call it the Sigma Chad's Greatsword, and honestly, I think that is a completely fair statement. Um, as for my build, for the DLC, I'm level 200. I have 60 vigor for good health, a little bit of mind and endurance just so I can use my armor and weapon and have enough FP to use my Ash of War pretty often and cast some spells. I have 60 strength because when two-handing a weapon you don't need to hard cap it, you can stop at 60 or even 55. I have 18 dexterity because you need 18 dexterity to wield the weapon, that is very important. And I have 60 faith, so this is a strength faith build. So I have the Fire Knight's Greatsword. It is only plus 24. I have not yet put plus 25 on it. And I have the Fire Infusion, because that's how I get the highest AR out of this with my stats. I'm also using the Fire Knight Seal because it boosts Mesmer's Flame incantations. I've chosen to use the Fire Knight armor because I like it and it has nice buffs. The Winged Serpent Helm enhances the Fire Knight Ashes of War. And the chest piece boosts Mesmer's Flame incantations, which is really nice. It's probably by a very small percentage, which is very common with armor sets to buff things, but only by a small percentage. My talismans, I have the two-handed sword talisman. Now I do not think that the damage buff will show in your AR when you're looking at your stats, but you can definitely see it when you actually hit enemies. I currently have the Fire Scorpion charm on. It raises fire attack but lowers damage negation. You could go for the Godfrey icon if you're more of a spellcaster, or you could go for Beloved Stardust, one of the new talismans, or you could honestly just end up going for health or something up here. But what the Fire Scorpion charm does, it's nothing new, it's in base game, but it increases fire attack by 10%, but you also take about 12-ish% more damage. I have the Shard of Alexander, which boosts the attack power of my Ashes of War by about 15%, so that's a really hefty amount. And I have the Erdtree's Favor plus 2 because, well, things hit like a truck in this DLC, and I'm doing a lot of dodging, so I need HP and stamina. That's about it for that. Now, there's two Fire Knight Ashes of War. The one that I'm wanting to use is called Flame Skewer, which it's the Giant Hunt Ash of War, but it adds flame on it. And now the flame will increase the AR of your weapon. For me, it's about 200. It doesn't last very long, so we'll see when it ends. So it's already gone, and my AR went down to 1673 versus the 1800 it had with the buff, so it's definitely a decent damage buff. But the nice thing about this, besides it doing a lot of damage, is that it is going to have a follow-up attack. So you press the heavy attack button, and you get the follow-up attack. It does a decent amount of extra damage, nothing crazy, but it's definitely really nice. And you can get people with the first part and the second part, or with the second part you can turn around. So if you miss the first part, you can hit with the second part, and you might be able to get like R1 or something off after. It depends on the enemy you're facing. The second Ash of War that I don't recommend as much, but is still really nice, is Flame Spear. And what this one does is it's impaling thrust, but it shoots a little laser beam out, so it gives you some range. So we can see this guy. It shot a laser beam at him. You can also charge this Ash of War, so if you're using Godfrey Icon, you'll get even more damage out of this. But personally, I just like using Flame Skewer. Now, real fast, I will show you where you can get this weapon and the Flame Skewer Ash of War. I am currently at the storehouse first floor side of Grace, and you can just take this ladder straight down here's a Fire Knight wielding the greatsword. Boom, easy as that, he's dead. And he can also drop his armor set. Now, the Fire Knight helm is the only headpiece he will drop. The Winged Serpent helm you should get by progressing through Shadowkeep normally. They can also drop Smithing Stones 7 and 8, and possibly 6. I do not remember if they drop Smithing Stone 6 or not offhand, but they can drop 2 Smithing Stone 7s and 1 Smithing Stone 8. Now, as for the spells I'm using, I obviously have Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength for the buffs, but since I have the Fire Knight Seal and the Fire Knight Armor to boost Mesmer's Flame incantations, I've chosen the 3 Mesmer's Flame incantations, which are Fire Serpent, Mesmer's Orb, and Rain of Fire. Fire Serpent is really nice, it has decent range, comes out pretty fast, and it does a good chunk of damage, and the good thing about it, it homes in on enemies and you can spam it. Now, by far the worst one is Rain of Fire. So this is uncharged, you get a short Rain of Fire, or you can fully charge it. Now, in my testing, I've tested it mostly for PvE, not sure about PvP. It barely hits anyone, it barely does any damage, and it is not worth it. But I figured I would show it anyways. Now, your real cream of the crop spell is going to be Mesmer's Orb, because you can do it uncharged. Comes out really fast, you'll fly towards opponents, and that's a huge explosion, big blast radius, big damage. But you can also charge it. If I don't get hit in the process. And it can do pretty good damage. Now, if you want to use the Flame Spear Ash of War and Mesmer's Orb, I would recommend changing the Fire Scorpion Charm to the Godfrey icon, just so that you're not taking extra damage. But the Fire Scorpion Charm will also increase the amount of damage that your weapon does and just fire damage overall. Not a crazy difference, but definitely safer. In my Physick, I have the Faith Not Crystal tier and Flame Shrouding crack tier. The Flame Shrouding is probably going to go for just about any build you're doing with this, but the Faith tier can be changed to whatever the hell you want to use, I suppose. Now the last thing I want to show you is how you get the Flame Skewer Ash of War. So first you're going to have to reach Skadu Altus, and you'll want to start from the High Road Cross side of Grace. And real fast I'm going to make it nighttime so I can show you something else. Now what you want to do is follow this main path, but you're going to want to go up and to the left to this church up on the hill. Now, the first thing I want to point out to you is over here, since it's nighttime, you will see some blue gravestones. Somewhere around here. Ah, there they are. So only during night in the new DLC, you can find blue gravestones, and you will find a larval tear sitting in the middle of them, and you can use that to respec your stat points, but once again, that is only at night. And then over here is the Church of the Crusade where you want to go. Now, your first time coming here, you will get invaded by an NPC named Fire Knight Queedline, and you will have to defeat him. Now, there are 2 places that you can find this invasion, and it doesn't matter which order you do them in, just know that you have to do them both. So you can do the Church of the Crusade one, and then you're going to have to do the one in Ballarat Tower Settlement. Now if you start from the small private altar side of grace, you will want to run up these steps, possibly kill this enemy. Alright. Then you want to that's the left side. That's where we came out from. You want to immediately go to the right. There's a couple weak enemies here that you can kill, just so that they're out of the way. Then you're going to want to run in here. And right here, you will get invaded by Fire Knight Queeline again, or if this is your first place that you went through, this is your first time. But as per this guide, it is the second time, and once you defeat him, you will get the Flame Skewer Ash of War. Now, that is all I have to show you guys, and if you find this build helpful, go ahead and like the video. I will try, hopefully, getting more content out in the future. And go ahead and let me know in the comments if this build is good for PvE or PvP and what your experiences are with it, and also with some things that might make the build better for either me or other people who are going to need it.